So this morning we simply breathe together, noticing that as we inhale deeply, we fill our lungs, our abdomen, our very body with the infinite Spirit of God. And as we exhale, we let go of all those things that we think in this moment are no longer working for us. So we breathe in and we breathe out. We claim our inheritance, our divine being as children of God. And we exhale, letting go of any belief we have that we are not enough, that we are inadequate, that we are less than lovable. Breathing into the knowledge that this is true for each and every one of us in this room and each and every one in the world. This morning we hold all of the New Thought and Unity churches in our area. We hold all of the teachers of truth and light. No matter what name they put on their teaching, we understand that when we are called together by the infinite universe, God, that as we teach, as we live, as we know the truth together, we contribute to making a difference in our world. And so for the opportunity to be together, to experience the energy and love and light that each individual brings into this room, we simply say thank you. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. Good morning. Look at what a bunch of bright-eyed people we have. You are so alive and awake and alert this afternoon. I know that you are ready to be a part of all that is. So I have a pop question this morning before we do anything else. I'm just curious if the younger people in our room know have you ever heard of something called the Golden Rule? What is it, Thatcher? Do you remember? What goes around comes around. That works for me. I like it. You've got it. That's certainly part of the Golden Rule. Can anybody else think of another part of the Golden Rule? Guess what? When you come back up here this morning, I bet you'll know what it is. And it's important. It's important today in a way that maybe it hasn't been before, because this is the 21st century. It's a new era. It's a new way of being. And choosing which truths we bring with us is an important aspect. So let's do Unity Worldwide's vision statement and notice how it relates to the Golden Rule. Together, in God, we co-create a world that works for everyone. Okay, and Unity of Northern Kentucky's vision. In God, we celebrate a world of peace, love, and joy, where all live in harmony and oneness. And our mission, in God, we co-create an inclusive, loving community, serving others, transforming ourselves and our world. Okay, so opportunities that are coming. First of all, Ryan's here. So, when Ryan comes to Unity of Northern Kentucky, it's probably going to be because we're going to have a oneness event soon, or we've just had one. And since you haven't been at one, you know it hasn't happened yet. So the oneness event is next weekend. Friday night, right here, open and available to everybody. If you haven't participated in a oneness Friday night even, if you don't even make it to the whole weekend, if you haven't been to a Friday night, do clear your calendar, make an effort and come, because it can be, and we don't have any gilt-edge guarantees unless Ryan's gotten them since I last talked to him, but most people have a very transformative experience when they come, and it's a wonderful opportunity for you to experience it. Then maybe you'd like to be part of the whole weekend. Anybody who has any forgiveness work they haven't dealt with, particularly if it has to do with families, there's an awesome part in there about family forgiveness. And then, so it's Friday night, all day Saturday, and Sunday afternoon ends about 7-ish, approximately. Ish. Yeah, you can't hold Ryan to time frames. He's beyond time and space. So, but in that approximate time frame is when it happens. So, the ish, from what in the morning-ish to what in the evening-ish?
We'll be here for just together for like all day, like about 9:30 in the morning till about 10 at night with a lunch and a dinner break. So.
Okay, so 9:30-ish until 10 o'clock-ish with a break for dinner and lunch. So that's something that we hope, if you haven't taken advantage of, this would be the weekend where you come on Friday night. And if you're moved by it, stay for the weekend. If you're not moved by it, don't come back. It's a pretty easy proposition. He doesn't have any chains or whips. He doesn't keep you here. You all know, well, many of you know Linda Thomas. She's actually was the recipient of the Inquirer Woman of the Year Award. So if you see Linda, if it happens to be a moment when she comes to join us, which she does from time to time, or if you just see her someplace else, congratulating her would be a wonderful thing for you to do. On the 26th of June, we're going to start a new class on Jesus 2.1. It will actually be sort of a book study more than a class per se. It'll be downstairs here. Tom Shepard's book is funny. You wouldn't possibly think you were going to read a book about Jesus that you would actually laugh in, but I don't know, at least I find it funny. Tom found it humorous. So consider this, if you like to plan ahead, get your copy at Amazon or wherever and start reading, and we'll join together and do that on the 26th. And then on Thursday, the 27th, we have an opportunity to march together under the banner of Unity of Northern Kentucky in Thursday night is the Gay Pride service, which is at First Unitarian. Excuse me while I neaten up here a little. It's at First Unitarian, which is on Reading Road. My friend Sharon Dittmer is the minister there, and the Gay Pride service that many of you have been a part of in the past will be there on Thursday night at 7. And then on Saturday, the 29th of June, we're going to march in the Gay Pride Parade with a banner for Unity of Northern Kentucky, indicating our support for the gay and lesbian community. The parade starts at 2. We're supposed to meet about 1:15. Write that in your calendar. Okay. That and that and that. And remember, we all have lunch together down at Bob Evans, and we would be delighted to have you join us. So some of you know that what we have right now is a commitment to have the same lesson upstairs that happens downstairs. And there's a couple of reasons for that. We believe it's important for all the Unity kids to know the same Bible stories that their peers at school learn, and so we talk about them with our own Unity metaphysical twist. And we believe it's important that parents know what the kids are learning so that you can actually talk about it with them, so that the conversation that you have with them is honestly more important than anything that happens in a classroom. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. And I know, because you're all so very clever, that you know that what we're talking about today is woohoo! And you can read, oh my God. And you notice I put an S on the end of Golden Rule. Because you know that there's more than one of those. Do you know that the Bible is not the only place that has that kind of information? So I thought at first we would take a small tour through the different places that the Golden Rule appears. So in the Hebrew Bible, in what we call the Old Testament, it's in Leviticus 19:18. And it says, "You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against your kinfolk. Love your neighbor as yourself." Now, I know you've heard that before because that's an exact same quote from Mark, only in Mark it's in Jesus' words. And he's telling you that the first commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your might, and with all your soul. And the second is this, love your neighbor as yourself. It says there's no commandment greater than this. Now then, also in Matthew it says, "So in everything, do unto others what you would have them do to you." Do unto others what you would have them do unto you. In Luke, it says exactly the same thing. And in 1 Peter, it says, "Since you've purified yourself by knowing and obeying the truth, now you have sincere love for each other, and you must love one another deeply from your heart." So the Golden Rule, which those actual phrase, the Golden Rule, is nowhere in the Bible. But these are the statements that come from the Bible that talk about treating your fellow human being exactly the way that you would like to be treated. Now, I don't think that anybody in this room would say, that's a crummy rule. Let's not obey that one. I don't think any of us would argue with it. The fascinating thing is, just knowing the Golden Rule, really not so important. Because what's the important part about knowing about the Golden Rule? Living it, doing it. Oh, those are easy words to say. Such nice, easy words to say. I also wanted to share with you that sometimes the Golden Rule comes in a positive form. One should treat others as one would like others to treat oneself. There's also the negative form. One should not treat others in ways that one would not like to be treated. That's sometimes called the Silver Rule. And how many of you know the Platinum Rule? Tom, what's the Platinum Rule? Oh, Dale even knows.
Treat others the way they want to be treated.
Ah, the Platinum Rule. Treat others the way they want to be treated. Because when you go around treating others the way you think they want to be treated, you're often wrong. Because what would make you happy is often not what makes the other person happy. So, lest we think this is simply a Christian Judaic rule, Confucianism says, what you do not wish for yourself, do not do to others. How about Hinduism? One should never do that to another which one regards as injurious to one's own self. This, in brief, is the rule of Dharma. Other behavior is due to selfish desires. Selfish desires. If I'm not going to treat you the way I want to be treated, it's because it's all about me. Hold that thought because we're going to come back to it. People who don't have any faith practice, frequently called humanists, they're the ones who say, do not do to others what you would not want them to do to you. It's the single greatest, simplest, most important moral axiom humanity has ever invented. One which appears in the writings of almost every culture and religion throughout history. Moral directives don't need to be complex or obscure to be worthwhile. And in fact, it is precisely this rule's simplicity which makes it great. Jainism, it goes on and on. I can't find a major world religion that doesn't phrase the golden rule in one way or another. But the part that Sue said so nicely in one little sentence really becomes the crux of the whole deal. You know that I subscribe to Time magazine, and you may have seen this Time magazine. Me, 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 the me generation. Some of you may have children in the me generation. Some of you may have grandchildren in the me generation. Some of you may have nieces and nephews in the me generation. Some of you may even be in the me generation. The me generation, frequently called these days the millennials, are the children of baby boomers. There might be one or two of us around. And the baby boomers, the millennials, pretty much were born, and it's kind of a loosey-goosey kind of date span, but it's 1980 to 2000. So if you have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, or you yourself were born between 1980 and 2000, you would be part of the millennial generation. This Time magazine says that what the baby boomers generation's goal was to change the world. That's not the goal of the millennial generation. It says that they are the most threatening and exciting generation since the baby boomers brought about social revolution, not because they're trying to take over the establishment, but because they're growing up without one. What does it mean to grow up not being part of the establishment? They're the technical generation who spend their life tweeting on Facebook, that's old, there's a whole list of them in there. They're all things that I hadn't even heard of course, because I'm old. But they live their life in public. They don't do anything without taking a picture and posting it. You know where they are from morning to night. You know what restaurant they're in. You know what they're eating. You know what they had for lunch. You know who they ate lunch with. It's a very public kind of generation. The interesting thing about them is that while their parents worked really, really hard to give them self-esteem, what we gave them was narcissism, because you can't give someone self-esteem. When people try to boost self-esteem, they really create narcissism. So when you think about the people you know that fit into that generation, this article tells us a lot about the fact that what they're most concerned with is really themselves. And from the princess parties that my granddaughters attended, where every girl, including Mama, had a tiara, because we're all very special, to the fact that in June I'm going to go to my youngest granddaughter's kindergarten graduation. We have taught these children that they are incredibly important. Now, you all remember the Chinese farmer, right? The Chinese farmer who has the good fortune to find a horse, then his son breaks his leg training the horse. The broken leg keeps the son from being conscripted into the army, and it goes, it's not good, it's not bad, it just is. Okay, so when we talk about this me generation. There are the parts of this me generation that probably need the golden rule more than any of us ever did, because they're absolutely obsessed with themselves. Care for the other person. Empathy is not what's being taught when we're teaching them it's all about me. Kids play soccer games and get trophies for showing up. Winning means nothing. They get awards. When you go to a birthday party, you take a present, but every child who goes to the party gets a present because they can't come and not get a present. Am I speaking the truth? So, the golden rule becomes a really, really, really important concept when we're teaching, when we're talking to, when we're working with any of the millennials, because it's not the message they're getting from society. There is no voice telling them to care about the other person instead of themselves. They don't have that message. Now, because it's not good and it's not bad, it just is, they also don't have to go to Codependence Anonymous because they've spent their life taking care of the other person instead of themselves. See, it's not good, it's not bad, it just is, but we have to come at that with awareness. We have to know what we're creating. We have to understand. And we have to think about it from the perspective of a pendulum. So we had the greatest generation, moral, upright people, my parents, okay? And then we swung over here to the counter-revolution because the establishment was all bad. We didn't want anything they did. And we protested in every way possible to say that. Me, 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 me. Over here, it's all about me. What we need, of course, is the middle road. What we need, of course, is some balance. And so beginning from that perspective, the importance of the golden rule becomes crucial. Narcissism equals entitlement. I deserve everything. I deserve everything allows you to be brave and create and become all that you can be. See, none of this is good or bad. It has both good and negative effects depending on what we want to do with it. How do we teach empathy? How do we teach caring about the other person as much as you care about yourself, while still valuing and honoring what you want, your own desire? It comes back to what I talk about frequently here. First of all, you have to know what you want and be very clear about it. I don't care if it's I want a hamburger for lunch versus I want eggs over easy. Does it matter? Is one better than the other one? No. But what do you want? Now, if you're really clear, I want eggs over easy. And if you're coming to my house for lunch and I'm serving hamburgers, do you leave? Do you pitch a fit? Do you require me to get eggs out of my refrigerator and fry you eggs when the rest of us are having hamburgers? So, see, when you know exactly what you want, you can then choose to support other people in what they want. You can choose to work with other people. You can choose to be part of a team. Part of the problem, no, part of the opportunity, because of course there are no problems, part of the opportunity that we have in unity that's relevant to this question is conflict. Now, if we were being really, really honest and I came around with a microphone and I said, Melinda, do you like conflict? You don't have to answer me. I can't imagine very many of you here who would go, yeah, I like a good fight. I like to prove my worth against a worthy opponent. Probably not so much. But how do you identify and live what you believe and know when you aren't even willing to speak your own truth? When you aren't willing to be the dissenting voice at the table? When you aren't willing to stand in a place of knowing, okay, there are 30 people in this room and 28 of them believe one way, but in my heart of hearts, I don't think that's the right way. Now, where's the line between I say, I don't believe that's the right course of action, and you can hear that and not see me as a troublemaker, not see me as the voice of dissent, and not give in to me because my voice is the loudest. As we evolve in our spirituality, we have to be willing to deal with the tension of what's right for me, what's right for you, and where's that place of compromise. Those of you that are on our email distribution list and who have been around know that I've been working to support the Anna Louise Inn. John Barrett, President, CEO of Western Southern, was filing lawsuits against the Anna Louise Inn because he wanted to buy the property to turn it into a boutique hotel. They didn't want to sell the property. In the past week, they settled because they've been in lawsuits for 2 years. And they had the prospect of 5 more years of lawsuits, during which time they would lose the stimulus money that they got. They were not able to develop more programs because their whole attention was focused on this lawsuit continuing. Different one, every time they resolved one, a new one would get filed. So there was a compromise reached. John Barrett provided them with another building at a, quote, reasonable price. He could buy theirs, they would get this one. The new building is better suited to their purposes. It's not downtown, it's on Reading Road somewhere, I've forgotten, and it still can serve that population. Now, there are the people who would consider that Western Southern lost because they didn't get to buy it for what they wanted to buy it for. Then there are my fellow liberals who would say that the Anna Louise Inn lost because they have to move. When we can move to a world where it's not all about winning and losing, it becomes about finding a way that everyone's lost a little and everyone's won a little. See, how can we work a golden rule where we look out for the interests of others? We can't just give them everything they want. That doesn't work. We can't take everything we want. That doesn't work. So we find a way to work that middle ground, that middle road. Positive things about millennials. While they don't respect authority, they don't resent it. Now, those of us who are part of the baby boom generation that were fighting with our elders resented them a whole lot. Millennials know what they want. They've been raised to get what they want, so they go, I want this, and then I want this, and 3 years from now, I want that, and I'm not willing to do that job because it's boring. So that sounds a little disrespectful to a baby boomer's ears, but yet is that not exactly what we teach in Unity? That being able to choose your job, being in a position that fulfills you, is important? So see, they've got that. Now, when we hear it, we kind of go, ooh, but we could go, bravo, right on. Do you see? Millennials are mostly nice. They express positively because, they've been told since they were this big, you're the best, you're great, you're wonderful, bravo. So they tend to express themselves in a really positive way because they've gotten all that approval that the rest of us are going through forgiveness work for because we didn't get it. Okay? They are absolutely accepting of differences. We don't have to teach them to accept gay people, minorities. They just do. They haven't lived in a different world. The meaning of that fight doesn't mean anything to them because it's easy. The golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you, requires that you know what you want and that you're willing to state it, stand in it, and sometimes compromise. Always having a story for you. I wouldn't want to disappoint you today because there's two sides. And it reminds me of the Cherokee story of the old chief who had his grandson and was trying to teach him the ways of the tribe. He was fighting his grandson about life, and he said, there's a fight that goes on inside of us. It's like a terrible fight between two wolves. One side is angry, it's envious, it's greedy, it's narcissistic, it's filled with guilt, resentment, inferiority, false pride, superiority. All of those things are part of that one wolf. The other wolf is joy and peace and hope and serenity and humility and kindness and benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. That same fight goes on inside each and every one of us. The grandson listened to his grandfather talk about that story and said, well, which wolf wins? The old Cherokee replied simply, the one you feed. So which are you feeding in yourself? Are you feeding intolerance? Are you feeding narcissism? Are you feeding codependence? Are you feeding inadequacy? Are you feeding guilt? What are you feeding? Because see, that's the choice. That's the choice that's yours. So I simply invite you to breathe as we move into the stillness.
In the stillness of this moment, there is peace, there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace, there is peace. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace.
Breathing together. Watching the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. Simply noticing. As always, noticing yourself. Your thoughts. Your feelings. Your emotions. Noticing how much of you is filled with empathy, compassion, caring, a desire to make a difference. Noticing how much of you is focused on you, on what you want, on what you think is right, on the way you want to do it. And as you notice, recognizing that both are absolutely valuable and true. Noticing how very, very important it is to recognize exactly what you want, exactly what will bring you joy, exactly what will bring you a feeling of satisfaction, a feeling of wonderment, passion, excitement. And as you notice that part of yourself, recognize it, honor it, value it. Then noticing that part of yourself that cares deeply for others, who wants to help so that there are no more hungry children, no more war-torn countries, no more inadequate schools, no more melting glaciers. Honoring yourself, honoring others is indeed the bravest choice that any of us can make. What would you do if you were brave? How would you take care of yourself? How would you care for others? If I were brave, if I had the courage, the strength, the wisdom, what would I choose to do? How would I choose to live? What would I put the full strength of all that I am and all that I'm born to be? What would I put that into? How would I spend my days? As we breathe together, we simply notice, trying to notice without judgment, but trying to be totally aware as we move into the stillness. Acknowledging how valuable it is to notice where we are, what's true for us, and acknowledging that as we notice it, it is the living of your own truth that makes a difference in the world. Living the truth of honoring yourself, living the truth of caring for others, learning to walk that edge, being brave enough to take those steps. Taking a deep breath and letting it out. Being willing to step into the rest of this day, this coming week, and the rest of your life, living the golden rule for yourself and for others. We say thank you. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. Please join us in singing in the stillness.
In the stillness of this moment, I feel love, I feel love. In the stillness of this moment, I feel love, I feel love. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment, I feel love. In the stillness of this moment, I am peace, I am peace. In the stillness of this moment, I am peace, I am peace. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment, I am peace, I am love, I am peace.